Hello again, and welcome to insidetracks.co.uk, the website that tries to help you trade smarter. Please subscribe and like if you do, or comment, and we can hopefully get better as a result. Now, I've been asked on several occasions how to go about choosing the right trading strategy. Some of you will have favorites. Some will like to scalp, some will like to back to lay, etc., etc. And in a different video, I talk about the different trading strategies. But one particular factor is, how do you choose? I mean, you might like a particular trading strategy, but how do you choose in a race? You've come to a race, you've looked at the race, and you may or may not be right to scalp that market, or you may or may not be right to swing bet it, or any other strategy that you might like. So one way in which you can help yourself to choose the right trading strategy is knowing if your horse is over or underweighted in the market. And that is pretty vital piece of information that you should work out before you start choosing your trading strategy. So I'll be back in a second. So the reasonable question that you'll probably ask yourself at this point is my horse over or underweighted in the marketplace? What does that mean, and how do I work out whether that is the case? Well, it's a fairly simple calculation which I've put into a spreadsheet that you can actually download for free off the homepage of insidetracks.co.uk. Just go to the website, go to the homepage. At the bottom, there are three Excel spreadsheets, one of which is this one, which is to work out whether your horse is over or underweighted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look at a market that's coming up. It's 14.48, and the market I'm going to look at is the 14.55. So it goes up in 7 minutes. And we're going to have a look and see whether any of these horses are over or underweighted in the marketplace. So how do we do that? We click on obviously the betting and the chart, and we'll see there are two figures or three figures that we need to make this work. The first one is the total matched on this event, which is 58,755. The second one is the betting summary volume, which is 36,500, and that is the volume that has been placed on this particular horse. So that number there, 36,500, is those numbers there all added up. So that 2,000, that 1,500, and all those little ones there make 36,500. Then the last price match, which is 1.86, and then we can plug those three numbers in. That's what we want, total, horse, and odds. And the output will be the weighting, whether it's underweighted or overweighted, and the percentage of it being under and overweighted. So let's do that then. Let's put in the 58,755, 58,755. Let's put in the next one, which was 36,500, 36,500, and then put the odds, which is the last odds we had, 1.86, and press go. And we see here that the output is, the weighting is 9135 over, so it's green, it's overweighted. That's what it means. Red is underweighted, so overweighted is green, and red is underweighted. So it is overweighted by 9,135 pounds. It should, that number there should be 9,135 pounds less, and that percentage is 16%, which is quite high. The higher the percentage, the more over or underweighted the horse is. So when you start getting past 10%, this means that this horse is quite an overweighted horse. So that means that there is more money on this horse than there should be. Now, why does that matter? I'll come to that in just a second. So we saw just now that we had a horse that was significantly overweighted, and I'm trying to break this down into very simplistics. And some of you might say, well, I haven't put in the over-rounding, and it's never 50-50 backed on a horse. There'll be always money over and back, and there'll be arbitrage and all the rest of it. But I'm just trying to make this simple. So let's take a scenario which won't exist, but is for explanation purposes really only. So we have a 2-horse race, and there's the amount of money that's been backed on each horse. That's the amount of money laid on each horse, and that's the total on the horse. And we can see I've done a back to lay ratio. So we see that horse A has £5,000 backed on it and £5,000 laid on it, has £10,000 total, and therefore it's a 50-50. So we would expect the horse A's odds to be evens, and horse B exactly the same, but less money, still evens. So what we would see in this race, if it was perfectly done and perfectly done, just explanation purposes, we would see in the betting horse A at evens and horse B at evens, because there is the same amount of money for and against each horse. However, horse A is heavily overweighted, and because it's got 66% of the total money on it, and horse B is significantly underweighted. It has 33% of the total amount bet on that. Now, why does that matter? Why does it matter that we know that it's under or overweighted? Well, let's just do a quick example. If I put £1,000, if a bet came in for horse A and £1,000 extra went on, let's just do that. Then that would mean that 5% more money has just gone on to horse A. Okay. Now, the market would not stay like this, because the market likes that number and that number to match up. So something has to happen to this side. And if there was money being taken over and over, I'm saying that, you know, if £1,000 went on, it would be a series of bets. It wouldn't all be evens. It would be evens, and then the £1,000 would take a series of bets over a period. But realistically, and in some kind of different world, what would happen if that £1,000 just kept taking every price it was given for horse A? Then £1,000 would have to come against horse B, because that's the way the market works. The market does not like to be out in terms of the amount of money backing horses and the amount of money laying horses. It just doesn't happen. Arbitrage kicks in. So what we see in this situation, where £1,000 came for horse A and that £1,000 kept taking every odds that was given to it, then with no other factors involved, then £1,000 would have to come against horse B. That's an arbitrage. So what we see, though, and what's important, and I don't really want to get into the ins and outs of whether arbitrage works and all the rest of it, ultimately what I'm trying to show you is that the £1,000 for horse A is only 5%, and £1,000 for horse B is 8%, which means that the price of the £1,000 makes less difference to the overall standing of horse A than horse B, i.e. horse A, the price will be more stable, because the same amount of money will be less influential on the overall amount of money that horse takes than an underweighted horse. So basically what I'm telling you is, if your horse is overweighted, it will have a more stable price. Now, why does that matter? I'll come back to that in just a second. So we were asking the question, why does it matter, you know, whether your horse is over or underweighted? Well, we'll go back to the Coulage Forest horse, which we were looking at just previously. This is now just before the race is off, and I'm going to put the numbers in. So 404, 484 is the total, 277,912 is the horse, and the odds that we were given 1.87. And we see that this horse has even got more overweighted. So there's more money coming in for this horse than its odds really deserve, and it is a highly overweighted horse. There's a lot of interest in this horse, and it looks like it's been trading between, and it has in fact been trading between very, very limited limits. So what you can see is the lowest price it ever got to really was 1.75, and the highest price it really ever got to, so 1.75 to what? Really there, 1.92. So it's traded within an extremely narrow band. And this is what overweighted horses tend to do. They tend not to jump around because money it's got lots of money going into it. The effect of the next thousand, as you can see, thousands of pounds are coming on all the time, but the effect on the price is low. And therefore, this horse being so overweighted, 28% overweighted, very highly overweighted, will move, okay, move a little bit, but not massively. We're talking about 1.8 to 1.9 here, really, is where the vast majority of that total there, which is a vast majority of the total on the race. So this is the perfect horse, really, to be into for swing bet, maybe. If you could see this, but generally speaking, low prices mean low movement means. I'm sorry for the dog there. Yeah, what I was trying to say was that these small movements here, this is perfect scalping. Just moving around very small amounts means that you can get quite good scalping working on this sort of horse. And also, because there's so much money on it, the movement tends to be in one direction, and then, okay, we're moving out again, so it tends to move out. It's like an oil tanker. It doesn't go whoom, 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 like that. It tends to be slowly down in, and then slowly down out. So again, for scalping, you don't want big movements because that tends to when you're operating a scalping strategy, if something moves 1 point or 2 points, full points, you tend to get out. Whereas if this is just going very slowly, that would have been an area where is more movement there. But even that is only 1.78 to 1.86. So it's really, we're not really talking about big movements here. We're talking about small movements, and therefore very little chance of you losing out. And there are long periods here where you can take a tick or two out of the marketplace without any problems. So that's why it's really important to know, because actually if we look next, and we will do, at an underweighted horse, you'll see exactly what I mean. Okay, so I was going to show you an underweighted horse. Here we're looking at the Chepstow 6 furlong race. It's a 350 going off in about 40 minutes time. So we have quite a decent favourite here. I have the water, and we can see we'll put that in and we'll see what it says. But 22,956, and it's 11,616, and the odds 2.78 last matched. And we can see massively overweighted horse at the moment. And you can see that even though it was coming in quite a lot very early on, it's now trading in a very clear corridor. If we look at that corridor, let's see where the 11,000 comes. 11,000 really is coming in this corridor here between 2.5 and 2.8, isn't it? So it's sort of somewhere in here. So yeah, 2.62 is coming in, and then it's really tapering off. Very heavily at sort of 3-ish. So you can see that the vast majority of the money, when you look out here, yes, there's been a couple of bets out here, but that's very early on. What you can see is the vast majority of the money is in the corridor between 2.64 and 2.98. So that's an overweighted horse. But what we see is Dark Poet. Look at the amount of movement going on here, and we can see why that is, because let's put those in. 22,524 And we'll put in 2776, and its last price match was 7. And we see this horse is highly underweighted at -14, and that's led to this quite high volatility. You can see quite high volatility in this. We're still 41 minutes before the race. So in this respect, an underweighted horse, its price, you know, what we've moved from 5 here to 6 in what, 50 quid, 25, 30 quid, something like that. Then this price here from 6 back down to 5.4 is what, 70 quid. And you know, 5.4 up to bloody 7. You know, so moving around massively. You won't want to be scalping this market because there's too much movement in it. And so long as it stays underweighted going into the last 10 minutes. Now, this is the important point for you, is that, sure, we're 312, and this is the 350 race. So it's 38 minutes to go. So we haven't seen the vast majority of the money on it, 23,000 or so, when we would expect 400 or so before the race goes off. And as you all are aware from previous videos, of that 400,000, about 60 or 70% goes on in the last 10 minutes, certainly 50% goes on in the last 5 minutes. So, but it is important to know early on where your horse stands and to keep an eye on it, and to know that if it's underweighted, it will move around more, and if it's overweighted, it will move around less. And that's just the clear message to get across. Now, knowing that the price will move around less or more gives you the clue as to what you want to do. Do you want to scalp this market? Well, you don't want high volatility if you're going to scalp. Do you want to swing bet this market? Well, you actually do want high volatility if you want to swing bet. The other thing is, if you're looking for support corridors with a overweight horse, you should see those support corridors. And then if the horse breaks out of its support corridors, it's very, very likely with an overweighted horse to continue in the same direction. So until enough money comes to support it at its new support level, which generally speaking will be some distance from the previous support level. So you can follow the money down until it reaches the new support level. That's perfectly reasonable strategy to do. Look for an overweighted horse, look for it to break out of its support levels, and when it does, either upwards or coming in, then you follow the money until such time as there is enough money at the new support level to create some kind of stability again. So again, you can take some decent money out of the marketplace by looking for it to break out, following the money until it reaches the new support level, then cashing out and taking your profit. So look, that is quite close to the end of this video. I'll come back in just a second. Okay, so I just thought I'd finish this video by coming back to Coulard Forest, who we saw was extremely overweighted horse. It'd been trading within a fairly small corridor. Towards the end of its trading, it had drifted very slightly, but then started to come back in. But it was never trading very much outside of a 0.1 or a 0.2 corridor. Now, what you would expect from that is that because there was so much interest in this horse, and there was it was overweighted and it didn't drift badly, that this horse has a great chance. So what I'm going to do now is to play you the replay.
Jump away for the Weatherby Stallion book handicap stakes over 9 furlongs. Coulard Forest broke well. Must have done is rousted to gather momentum. Towards the outside there is Royal Regent. Very wide is Gayar. Just off them is Set in Stone, and then comes Zeshov in the cheap pieces. Just the early back marker. Must have done the centre in the two-tone green. Out wider is Royal Regent, the purple and yellow. And the purple and white of Coulard Forest, the short price favourites towards the inside. And
Coulard Forest here.
Gayar, light green and yellow colours, racing rather wide. And then the Thistle bloodstock colours of Set in Stone, the black with the red epaulets, yellow sleeves. And just the back marker is Zeshoff and Danny Tudhope in the orange as they head towards the far turn. And the long right-handed swing, which brings them towards the home straight. Must Have Done, Joe Fanning out in front, dictating by a half length to Royal Regent in second. Coular Forest is in third place. And then on the outside is JR and then Set in Stone. And just the back marker, but in touch at the moment, is Zeshoff. Around the home turn, then half a mile to go. Must Have Done out in front to... In second place, that's Royal Regent. Coular Forest towards the inside will be looking for room shortly, Paul Hannigan. Then out wider is Set in Stone. On the extreme outside is JR, and then comes Zeshoff as they head down now for the final 2.5 furlongs. As they do so, it's still Must Have Done. To in second place, that's Royal Regent. He leads it out now, Coular Forest. He's going well, but just trapped on the inside now. The gap opens for Coular Forest, and here comes the favourite, Coular Forest, to go on. Zeshoff is tracking him through, but it's Coular Forest and Must Have Done up front inside the final furlong. Coular Forest, Hannigan hit the button and he goes away. Coular Forest now 3 lengths clear to Must Have Done and Zeshoff entering the final 100 yards. And this is quite impressive from Coular Forest. They'll make it back-to-back wins here at Musselburgh. He'll win easily for Richard Fahey and Paul Hannigan. Looks a nice colt. Coular Forest must.
So there we see that Coular Forest was actually overweight, well backed. Didn't drift too radically, didn't come in too radically, and went on to win well. And that is not unusual. Overweighted horses that tend to trade within a very tight range means that there is a lot of interest in them, and therefore should not be ignored. Certainly if they shorten in the last 5 minutes, that's a big indication that they have a great chance of winning. If they radically drift in the last 5 minutes, that also is quite a strong indication that professional money is going against the overall weight of money in the marketplace. So look out for that. So we've just said that if you know if your horse is over or underweighted in the market, then that's very important. It will help you to understand what's going on with the money coming in, what sort of effect it might have on the horse's price. And when you see what that effect is, then you will know what strategy to use. And I've already said to you that there's 2 strategies for an overweighted horse, and that is that their price will move very little or slowly, and therefore it's perfect for scalping. Also, it's perfect for watching for breakouts. Either a horse is going to break out from one or other of its support levels, it's either going to drift, and then you can get on and follow the money and keep laying it until it starts to get backed again, or if it shortens, then back it and then wait for it to be supported and then lay and make your money that way. If your horse is underweighted in the marketplace, particularly if it's at the top of the market, this is quite important. It shows that there is no real confidence behind the horse. It shows that its price is likely to move quite significantly up and down, and is more open to being swing bet. And certainly if your horse is underweighted and it starts to drift radically, then it's very, very likely to not only drift, but then drift in a way which is very spiky. So it will drift 2 points, come back in half a point, then drift another point, then come back in half a point, then drift another 2 points, and then come back in at a point, but it will continue to drift. That's quite a nice little pattern for you to trade, which means that you can lay and then back, and then lay and then back as it goes out, knowing that the direction of travel is drifting. So that's the end of this particular video. Please, if you did think that it was useful and you want to see more, subscribe. If you liked it, then like. And if you've got any comments, I'm absolutely happy to hear them, and we'll respond to you, no problem. Okay, very best of luck. Please visit insidetracks.co.uk. There's lots on there for you to see, track facts, these different calculators that you can get free of charge off the homepage. And also, if you want, I do a tipping service that's quite successful. You can sign up for the newsletter. It's all free.